Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome, chemistry students. I am the Crazy Hat Chemist, and you're watching me on YouTube. And hopefully, you get a lot out of this, and hopefully, you learn some good chemistry stuff. Today, we're going to be covering how to recognize periodic trends of ions, and this is my worksheet that I designed. I already let you know that the periodic table is just a thing of beauty. This is going to be video number 5 of this series. And we're just going to keep on going because we're just having way too much fun with periodic trends. You know, periodically you'll hear a joke, at least you did on the last video. There was a periodic joke every now and then. All right, so here we go. Number 1, periodic trends of groups and valence electrons have been discovered. The next trend to discover, and that's what we did in the last video, the next trend to discover is predicted charges on ions or oxidation numbers. So these are going to be called the charges, the predicted charges. They are not necessarily the actual charges, but they are predicted charges of the ions, or they're called oxidation numbers. So you might hear that terminology in your chemistry class potentially. Okay, elements either lose or gain valence electrons when elements interact with other elements. All right, so here we go. All right, let's keep on going here, folks. We got lots to do, lots to cover. So elements either lose or gain valence electrons when elements interact with other elements. Metals lose electrons, yet maintain the number of protons. Therefore, metals that have lost an electron or multiple electrons have a positive charge. I'm positive about that. An ion with a positive charge is called a cation. So really key here, metals lose electrons and they are called cations after they have lost electrons. Nonmetals gain electrons yet maintain the number of protons. Therefore, nonmetals that have gained an electron or multiple electrons have a negative charge. So nonmetals gain electrons and they have a negative charge, and an ion with a negative charge is called an anion. So negative charge ion is called an anion. A positive charge ion is called a cation. Remember from the previous video that metals and nonmetals have opposite characteristics. This is another opposite characteristic of metals and nonmetals. Something to note. Fantastic. Here we go. Elements either lose or gain corresponding number of electron or electrons until the element has the same number of electrons as a noble gas. This is called an electron configuration. When elements have an electron configuration like a noble gas, it is now a stable ion. All right, we're going to move this up here just a bit. Predictions of ionic charges on main group elements. And if you remember from the previous video, it's essential that you have previously watched the other video, the one prior to this one, so that you understand what the main group elements are. The main group elements, just as a rekindle, are the S and the P type orbitals. Okay. Group 1, most are metals, except for hydrogen, have one valence electron and lose one electron to form a 1+ ionic charge. Group 2 elements are all metals and have two valence electrons and lose 2 electrons to form a 2+ ionic charge. Group 5 elements of the nonmetals have 5 valence electrons and gain 3 electrons to form a -3 ionic charge. Group 6 elements of nonmetals have 6 valence electrons and gain 2 electrons to form a 2- ionic charge. And group 7 elements of nonmetals have 7 valence electrons and gain 1 electron to form a 1- ionic charge. Predictions of ionic charges on transition elements. So this is very informative here. First, all are metals and lose electrons to form positively charged ions, or what are called cations, as you saw above. Group 3b or 3 loses 3 electrons and has a 3+ ionic charge. Group 4b or 4 loses 4 electrons and have a 4+ ionic charge. Group 5b or 5 loses 5 electrons and has a 5+ charge. Group 6b or 6 through 8b or 10 loses 2 and 3 electrons to form a 2 and a 3+ ionic charge. Copper loses 1 and 2 electrons to form a 1 and 2 ionic charges. Silver loses 1 electron to form a 1 plus ionic charge. Gold loses 1 and 3 electrons to form a 1 and 3 plus ionic charges. Zinc loses 2 electrons to form a 2 plus ionic charge. Aluminum loses 3 electrons to form a 3 plus ionic charge. Tin and lead both lose 2 and 4 electrons to form a 2 plus and 4 plus ionic charges. Oh my goodness. You know what we really need to do, folks? We really need to pull out a periodic table and actually write down these charges on a periodic table that I just aforementioned, because that is going to be the key to really, truly understanding all of this. So we're going to zoom on out. We're going to zoom in on just the section of the periodic table that is most essential, that what I have just covered. Okay, so we are not going to be covering the F block. We are going to be looking at the S, the P's, and the D's. Okay, we've got this here labeled here, or right set up here. So first of all, group number 1, that is 1 or 1A. Everything in group number 1 has a 1 plus ionic charge. Everything in group 1 or 1A loses 1 electron. Group 2 or 2A. Okay, that has a 2 plus charge because they lose 2 electrons. And if you remember, groups are vertical columns. So all these elements here, hydrogen, lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, and francium, all lose 1 electron and has a 1 plus charge. They actually have 1 valence electron. That's why they lose 1 electron. Group 2 loses 2 electrons. Then we have group 3 or 3B. That's a 3 plus. They lose 3 electrons. Titanium in group 4 has a 4 plus. And look at this. Roman numeral 5 is a V. That's why this is 5 plus. And then we have a group of 5 elements. So we have counted in these vertical columns of 1 plus, 2 plus, 3 plus, 4 plus, and 5 plus, Roman numeral 5V. Now we are going to count 5 elements. Here we go. I'm going to do this in a different color. We're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. These 5 elements right here are going to have a set of charges of a 2 plus and a 3 plus charge of these elements right there. Okay, and here's how I tell my students to remember it. Well, you are driving down the highway and you see some flashing red and blue lights behind you. That's probably not a good thing. That means that you've been traveling too fast at a speed of 2 and 3. And that speed of 2 and 3 is going to, well, you're going to have to slow down because you have just hit a copper behind you. That's a police officer. So you're going to slow down to 1 and 2. That is, copper has a 1 plus and a 2 plus charge. Okay, then there is this diagonal pattern on the periodic table, and that is silver, zinc, and aluminum. Okay, in this diagonal pattern here, silver has a 1 plus charge, zinc has a 2 plus charge, and aluminum has a 3 plus charge. Okay, I'm gonna, then if you notice that copper, silver, and gold are all in the same column. Unbelievable. That's correct. And gold has a 1 plus and a 3 plus charge to it. I don't believe I mentioned this, but we'll mention it here. Cadmiums and zinc are in the same column, so cadmium also has a 2 plus charge. And I did not mention this either, but mercury has a 1 plus and a 2 plus charge. Tin and lead both have the same 2 set of charges. They both have a 2 plus and a 4 plus, a 2 plus and a 4 plus for both tin and lead. Then we go over to group 13 or 3A, that is a 3 plus charge. Then carbon has a 4 plus charge. And then you notice that we have this orange staircase line here before us, and that separates the metals from the non-metals. And we're going to be using that staircase line here. Okay, helium and this noble gas column, these do not have a charge. So don't start there. This is no charge. That is, these elements typically don't react with other things. These are non-metals and these have a -1 charge. They have gained 1 electron. These are non-metals and they have gained 2 electrons. That's why they're a -2. And this group here has gained 3 electrons and that's a -3. All right. So these are the charges on the columns or groups on the periodic table. And And these are really important. So my high recommendation for you to do is to get yourself a periodic table and start labeling that periodic table. And then get another periodic table and label it again. And these are the ones that you want to highlight and label. So you want to label all these columns, these vertical columns or these groups of elements. These are the critical elements that you need to know. Not that there aren't other periodic trend charges, but these are the most important ones that we'll be discussing in at least my class and most general chemistry classes. All right, so we have some questions here. Let's see if we can answer these questions using this periodic table, because periodically it will come in useful fashion. So here are the questions. So question number 1. So all the questions are the same question. That is, what is the predicted charge or charges on the following elements when they form ions? So question number 1 is lithium ion. So let's find out where lithium ion is. So let's move our periodic table around here and we're going to find lithium ion. Here is the lithium atom, and what predicted charge would it have? Well, it's in group 1. It will have a 1+ charge. So let's write that down, 1+ charge. Notice it is the number and then the charge itself. Okay, so you would really write it Li with a 1+, just like that. All right, the next one, number 2, what is the predicted charge on the nitrogen ion, which would be called the nitride ion? We'll find where nitrogen is. Here is nitrogen right here. That's N for nitrogen. And what predicted charge? It will have a -3 charge on the nitride ion. So that's going to be a -3 for the nitride ion. There we go. That's in focus. Then number 3 is fluoride ion. Well, where is fluoride? Here is fluoride. This is fluorine that forms a fluoride ion, and that is in the halogen group. It's a -1 charge. So let's write down that charge for the fluoride ion. That's a -1. All right. Iron ion looks like it has 2 different charges, and iron is right here, folks. That's iron, that's Fe. It has 2 charges of a 2+ and a 3+ for the iron ion. So here we go. Let's get that here. This is a 2+ and a 3+ for the iron ion. Next one is magnesium ion, and that is in group 2. That is magnesium element number 12. Magnesium ion would have a 2+ charge because it's in group 2. So magnesium ion would have a 2+ charge. Perfect. Then the next one is silver ion, and silver, we're going to slide this on over. Hopefully you're not getting dizzy here with me here, folks. And this is the silver, and it's a 1+ ion. This goes in this diagonal pattern with silver, zinc, and aluminum. So silver ion is right here at a 1+ charge. Then the lead ion has 2 charges apparently. Let's see if we can find those. Here is lead. It's element number 82. And what 2 charges does it have? It has a 2 and a 4+. So very important for lead. So lead has a 2+ charge and a 4+ charge. Next one is the vanadium ion. The vanadium ion, remember, if you remember, that is over here, and that is right here, element number 23, and that is a Roman numeral V, which is 5, and that's why it's a 5+ charge. That one shouldn't be too difficult to remember here. So vanadium ion is a 5+ charge. And let's write that down. There you can see it. Perfect. So we've been halfway through with our periodic trend charges that we have labeled on our periodic table. We're using our periodic table to obtain these charges. We're going to cruise on over to do the second half of these problems. And here we go. What's the charge on the gold ion? And appears, again, there are 2 of them. So let's find gold on our periodic table. Here is gold right here. That's Au, like, hey, what are you doing? Au. Okay, gold has a 1+ and a 3+ charge on gold. So gold has a 1+ and a 3+ charge. Perfect. Next one is the copper ion. It has 2 charges as well. Remember, if you're driving too fast down the highway, who's going to slow you down? That would be a copper, because you were traveling at a speed of 2 and 3, and you're going to reduce each of those by 1. So 1 minus 2 and 1 minus 3, that would be a 1 plus and a 2 plus for copper. And by the way, I did label copper in green because green is the patina color of copper when it forms ions that are really nice. So copper has a 1 plus and a 2 plus. Then the oxygen ion, and let's find out where the oxygen ion is. Oxygen is way over here, and here is the oxygen ion. It's in this category here of a -2 charge. So a -2 charge on the oxide ion. That's called the oxide ion. The hydrogen ion. Hydrogen ion, that's clearly over here with element number 1, hydrogen ion, and that's a 1 plus charge, as you can see at the top of that group. And let's write that down as a 1 plus for the hydrogen ion. Next one is scandium ion, and that is right here. Scandium ion is element number 21, and it's a 3 plus charge. That's what the top of that group. That's a 3 plus charge for the scandium ion. The next one is the titanium ion. Titanium is one of my favorite elements. I have a bicycle frame made out of it, and that's a 4 plus charge, not for the metal, but for the ion. Glad my frame is not made out of ions. That would not be good. Then there's the zinc ion for the second to last problem. We're going to slide this on over here. And where is zinc? Zinc is right here. Label that. What's the charge on the zinc ion? That's a 2 plus. So the 2 plus ion for zinc. That's a 2 plus ion for zinc. Chromium ion. It looks like there's 2 different ones for chromium. So let's find out. Oh, look, there is chromium already here for us. Chromium is element number 24, and it looks like it's a 2 and a 3, just like iron and the other group of these 5 elements. So that would be a 2 plus and a 3 plus. All right, so just a real quick little recap. I'm going to zoom out here for a little bit so you can see things and do a quick little recap. So you can see that these are all the charges on the ions that we just wrote up. These are based on our periodic trends. I am the Crazy Hat Chemist. This is the place where you are actually learning chemistry. These charges are very important. What's most important here is actually that you understand what the charges on these ions are. So this is really, really important that you know these. Okay, so these go with these vertical columns, or the sections on the periodic table are these periodic trend charges. Super important. So I'm hoping that you learned something here today. This is the 5th video in this series here. Please watch this video. Please like and subscribe. Please refer this video to your friends. I would be greatly appreciative of your references. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I hope you have a great afternoon, a great day, and great morning, wherever you're at, and have fun. And learn some more chemistry. Talk to you later. Bye for now.